My name is Brenda Neely. I was born and grew up in Robeson County, North Carolina. In 1961, I came to Salisbury as a student at Livingstone College. At that time, it was sweeping the nation with sit-ins and boycotts because integration was on the way and segregation was being outdated. I participated in the March on Salisbury at the Woolworth 5 and Dime, I guess it was called. They had a lunch counter, and of course we marched from Livingstone to protest the fact that we could not sit down at that lunch counter. Now, we could make purchases in there, but we could not sit down and have a meal there. So the protest began, and we set up barriers so that students from Livingstone could go in and be seated. Basically, those who went in to be seated were the male student body. The females were asked to just set up the barrier. And we did that, and many of the students were taken to jail. We went on down the street to protest this and be seated so that we could be seated anywhere we wanted to in the theater, at the Capitol Theater. We sat in the lobby in what we really established as a sit-in. We were there for a long time, and of course we could not be seated. As a result, there was a student at Livingstone who was very fair-skinned, and she was allowed to come in and be seated. At that point, she said, if I can be seated in this theater, then my colleagues can be seated in this theater also. Many of us did not tell our parents we were taking part in that kind of thing. Many of us were not afraid because we had a tight-knit. We were told to stay close together and protect each other. We were also told that we're not to be affected by the names we were called or any kind of expressions of racism that were expressed to us, and we did that in a very nonviolent way.